From today onwards, we're going to play with the iOS templates and the components, controls, and how to interact with the APIs. We see everything. First of all, what we need to do is go to Export and File, New Project, and under iOS, you will see some default templates. This is the basic application which you can create. From this application, you can extend the base application to any of these templates or any of the functionality you can add it. This is the base application. It depends upon the SDK Xcode version. In Xcode, latest Xcode, you see this. In an older version, you will see some other templates as well. But this is the default template, basic template, which you can create. My first application under T is not required. You can keep it as none. And from organization identifier, you can give if you are an individual, you can give form.name.me, or you can, if you are having any identifier, you can give that if you are a part of any organization, like com.company name.application name, something similar. Generally, that is how you give. And storyboard, whether you want to use Swift UI or storyboard, I want to use the storyboards for now. And lifecycle starts from AppDelegate, and language is Objective-C or Swift. I'm choosing Swift. And use core data. I don't want to use the core data at the beginning stages. And include unit test cases or UI test, include test cases. I don't want test cases as well. So I'm checking this. These are the different options which you need to choose here. And you can directly save it. Here we are having create Git repository. If you want to create the Git repository, local Git repository, along with the Xcode project, you can check this. Otherwise, you can simply ignore, uncheck, and create. We see when exactly we create a Git repository. This is the default template of the application. You can, this is where exactly you can choose the simulator, as we do not have any physical device. When you do not have any physical device, you can use the simulator. And these are the different files which we got along with the template. We see, let's run it on the simulator. The simulator is about to launch. Let's see what we see by default here. Actually, it simply displays the blank. Yeah, it is already launched. My first application, which is empty, there is nothing. So it simply displayed blank. Okay, let's move to the files which we have got here. The first one is called as project file, where you can configure your application, like what is the OS version and whether it should support which OS, from which OS onwards it should be supporting, and whether it is allowed for iPad or not, and what are the different orientations it allows, and the application icon. Application icon is the app icon. These are the application icons. You can also set that here by adding the icons. We see that as well. And signing identifier, when you want to run your application on the physical device, where you need to change the team name, bundle identifier, and provision profile. But we also see that. and resource tags which you generally don't use, and info is the configuration file. What is the application name and what is the bundle ID, what is the version number, and what are the different orientation support. Whatever changes you make here will be reflected in the configuration file, that is info.plist. Even this is also the same. Whatever you modify here, that will be reflected on the project file on the info section. And build settings. Build settings, what are the different architectures, whether it is built for iOS or Mac OS. And only few things you use here. What is the deployment target? Only few things we use here. We see them as a generally what we use, code signing, what we use. Signing. Signing means when you want to build your application on any physical device, you have to sign your application. You have to give permissions to run on the physical device or to upload it on the App Store. So in such cases, we only change here. Otherwise, we don't use build settings. Resource tags we don't use at all. Info generally we don't use. If you want to also use like for configuring the file name, version, bundle name, something. Build phases we use sometimes, and build rules we generally don't use. The only thing what we use is general thing where you can specify your application name. By default, the project name is the application name and the version number and the build number and the bundle identifier. This is where exactly you regularly use, and even signing and capabilities you use, and resource tags you don't use at all. Info sometimes you use, build settings you use sometimes, and the build phases you use sometimes. Rarely build rules we don't even use at all. And coming to the AppDelegate, basically our application to handle the application, we need to have some kind of methods, like when the application is coming to foreground, when the application is launched, when the application is going to background, foreground when the application is active, inactive, when the application is received push notification. Those things, the basic functionality of the application, basic lifecycle methods, what we say. Here if you see lifecycle methods, basic lifecycle of the application is handled by the AppDelegate and SceneDelegate. AppDelegate and SceneDelegate. These two are the methods. These two are the classes which are responsible for handling the application lifecycle. Handling the application lifecycle means what are the different application lifecycle of an iOS application is when the application is launching, when the application is going to foreground, when the application is going to background, when the application is active, inactive. These are the different life cycles of the methods. Basically, application contains different states: active, inactive, background, suspended, not running. Okay, these are the different states. When the application is moving from one state to another state, that will be notified by the callbacks. This method gets called when the application is launched at very first time. And here we are having different scenes. Scene disconnect. You can put when it is becoming active and when it is becoming inactive. Okay. Scene did enter background, foreground, design active will become active. If you see in the old Xcode versions, you will simply see only AppDelegate where all these methods are declared in the AppDelegate itself. Now in the latest Xcode, they have separated the functionalities. They have basically divided the complete application lifecycle methods into two classes. One is the AppDelegate and SceneDelegate. Okay, and view controller is the one which is one view in the application. One view in the application. Main storyboard is the place where exactly you build your user interface. Like you can drag and drop different kind of elements here. This is library area where you can see all the objects, labels, buttons, switches, tables, controls, view controllers, gestures. There are many. Here we are having very few. You can use them. Once you are aware of these things, you can build any kind of application by adding some kind of customization. We're having only few controls here. Okay. By using these also, you can create wonderful applications by making little customization. Okay. We see most of them, almost 85 to 90% of the items we will see. And assets.exe assets is the where is the place where exactly you place all your resources. Resources in the sense application icons, the images basically. App icon, this is app icon. This is access accent color, which we don't use generally. The app icon we use. App icon means already showed you. These are the app icons. So to reflect the app icon for our application, you have to place all these icons, which is having different resolutions. We'll talk about resolutions. And launch screen. Launch screen is the one which will be displayed at the very beginning of the application launch. At very first time, let me show you. And just changing the color here. It is very simple to change the color as well, and changing the properties of the UI components. Here, I have property inspector here. This is the property inspector. Let's see, this is the launch screen. Launch screen is displayed, then the actual scene should be displayed. This is the actual view controller. This is launch screen. The purpose of launch screen is to display the company information. Let me show you if we have any examples here. I'm just opening the shortcuts. There is no launch screen for this. Let me open contacts. No launch screen here. Watch. Even this doesn't have. Basically, launch screen we use. Generally, the launch screen is the company logo we display for some time, and then the application actual screen will be displayed. Info.plist is the place where you can configure the application related information, such as the name and what's the name, bundle identifier, which is the launch screen, and what are the different orientations it supports, what are the different capabilities the application is going to be used. These are the different things. Then product is the end product, which will be archived actually. Okay, here we are having view controller. View controller is the one view in the application. Storyboard is where you exactly design your user interface. The AppDelegate and SceneDelegate basically handles the application lifecycle. Any doubts here? By default, you can start with the default application, that is single view application. This is called single view application. By default, you can start with this so that you will get all the styles. And let's add anything, something to the view controller. This view controller, here we are having some property inspector. Property inspector is the one where you can change the properties of a view. This is view controller. I'll take you inside of the view controller and what are the different properties it has. I'll show you. And this is the property inspector. Okay, property inspector means you can change the properties of the selected item. Now I'm selecting view. View means one simply wall, we can say. For the wall, we can apply the background color. Just run it. That should be reflected on the device. This is splash screen, the orange one, and the red one is the actual view. Okay, let me take you to the view controller. Here, if you see, view controller is subclass of UI view controller. Subclass of UI view controller. One interview question here is, what is the root class in Swift? For the Swift, there is no superclass, there is no root class. If you declare a class with some superclass, that is going to be the superclass or root class for that object, for that class. If you do not declare anything, that itself is the superclass. Whereas in Objective-C, whereas in iOS, there is some superclass. What is the superclass for this view controller? This is the superclass, this is subclass, right? What is the superclass of view controller? Actually, UI view controller, it is UI responder. What is the superclass of UI responder? NS object. NS object is the root class in iOS. This is the topmost class. Whatever class you take from the iOS SDK, that is subclass of NS object either directly or indirectly. If you take AppDelegate is a class. What is it? Superclass UI responder. And what is this? This is not a class actually. This is protocol. You can see this is protocol. The protocol contains different lifecycle methods. It has different lifecycle methods. What is the subclass of UI responder? That is NS object. Whatever class we take, that is either directly or indirectly subclass of NS object. The interview question here is, what is the root class in Swift? In Swift, there is no root class. Root class లేకుండా కూడా మనం క్రియేట్ చేసాం క్లాసెస్ అన్ని కూడా. ఓకే, ఇక్కడ మనం క్లాస్ క్రియేట్ చేయాలంటే ఖచ్చితంగా రూట్ క్లాస్ వాడాల్సిందే. This also is Swift. Actually, for UAV controllers, there should be superclass. The topmost class is NS object. If you take any class from iOS SDK, that is either directly or indirectly subclass of NS object. Even if you take SceneDelegate, IND subclass of UI responder, here we are having delegate. This is protocol actually. Protocol which has some set of methods. If you see, this is optional. When you want to, this is optional, and window is one property. There are a couple of methods here. There are methods and there are properties in the protocol, which we have already seen. The protocol. One thing to remember is every application contains a window. On top of window, you can have n number of view controllers. Each view controller holds some specific set of features. Let me take, this is the view controller. I want to add some functionality in this view controller. That is login page. I want to create the login page. I want to create a login page. Login page contains text fields. This is one control actually. This is one control. This is another control. This is also a control view. Okay, this is an object of UI text field. This is an object of UI view. This is an object of UI view. All the views, whether it is text field or view or button, all these components are subclass of UI view only. This is label. The class of this is UI label. You can see here class. Class is UI label. Class is UI text field. Class is UI text field. Class is UI view. Whatever control you take from here, it is subclass of UI view only. UI view means one frame or one wall. On top of wall, you can have small frames. These are the frames. మనం జనరల్గా వాల్ మీద మనం ఫ్రేమ్ అటాచ్ చేస్తాం కదా, సిమిలర్గా వాల్స్ మీద ఫ్రేమ్స్ ఉన్నాయి. ఇక్కడ ఫ్రేమ్, ఈచ్ ఫ్రేమ్ కంటైన్స్ సమ్ ప్రాపర్టీ. ద width of the frame, height of the frame, color of the frame, content are inside the frame. There are many other properties. Similarly, this frame name is text field. The text field contains different properties. Text field contains different properties. Generally, text contains, you can set the font, you can set the text color, you can set the alignment, placeholder, enter username. For this, I can enter password. This is label. I can put. We'll see each component in depth. Login. clear. These are the buttons. If you take any component here, the prefix of this component class is user interface. Basically, we are having a framework in iOS SDK that is called UI kit, user interface kit. All the elements of user interface related are subclass of UI kit only, so that all the classes, all the instances of these classes starts with UI as a prefix. Okay, this is the storyboard where exactly you build the user interface, you create the user interface, or else the same thing can be done by using programmatically as well. But programmatically it takes much time compared to using storyboards. So most of the people prefer using storyboards because it does not take much time to implement a complex UI as well. Though you use storyboards for constructing the user interface, sometimes you will have to use view controllers. You will have to control the user interface by programmatically as well. That also we see. Let me take you through the document. iOS slides, iOS application lifecycle. These are the 10 different templates which you can choose from under iOS. And by default, you get all these classes: AppDelegate.swift, SceneDelegate.swift from the latest Xcode. SceneDelegate.swift. AppDelegate.swift and SceneDelegate.swift handles the application lifecycle. View controller handles view controller's lifecycle. Main.storyboard is used to design user interface and flow of the application. You can also define the flow of the application when user clicks on particular button, where exactly it should be routed to. That is also you can define in main.storyboard. Each application contains only one window and multiple view controllers. Each application contains only one window. Window is the base thing. Window is the application actually. On top of window, you can add any number of components such as view controllers or other components like labels, buttons, etc. AppDelegate. This is what we have seen, but it got changed. We're having AppDelegate and SceneDelegate. Basically, those two classes handles the application lifecycle methods, and view controller handles. These are the different methods. If you see, let us print statement and see which method is getting called at what time. Did finish launching with options. This is the first method which gets called when the application is launched. When the application is launched, in a sense, let me show you. When the application starts running, this is the splash screen. Then the application is launched. The first method which got called is did finish launching with options. This is the first method which gets called if you want to perform any kind of operation at the very beginning. You can write the code here. Write the code to perform default operations. Default operations in the sense when the application is launched, there itself you just want to restrict the user. Like if there is no network, you can check the network here and display it to the user. Or if you want to dump some predefined information, if you want to dump some any predefined information. This is where exactly you write the code, because this is the first method which gets called to launch the application. Application launch avadani ee method call avutundi. Ee method lo manam basic ga edana operation perform cheyalanటే ikkada cheseyochu manamu. Tarvata application configuration for connecting scene session. ఇది చూడండి ఎప్పుడు కాల్ అవుతుందో. ఇది even I don't know. Then did discard scene session. ఈ మెథడ్ ఎప్పుడు కాల్ అవుతుందో కూడా చూద్దాము. You can read the comments here. Called when new scene session is being created. Use this method to select a configuration to create a new scene with something is given. Even I don't know what exactly it is. Called when the user discards the scene session. Let's put the print statements here as well. As I told you, the application contains a window. Okay, this is where exactly, this is the property of the window, where exactly is declared here. Will connect to scene. Scene did disconnect. Scene did become active. ఈ మెథడ్స్ అన్ని ముందుగా AppDelegate లో ఉన్నవి విత్ సమ్ లిటిల్ డిఫరెన్స్, బట్ హియర్ మనకు వచ్చేసి ఇవన్నీ కూడా SceneDelegate లో ఉన్నాయి. సీన్ అంటే ఇంకా అప్లికేషన్ విండో అనుకుంటా. యాక్చువల్గా సీన్ రెఫర్స్ టు ద అప్లికేషన్ విండో. Okay.
Sir, what is the difference between the AppDelegate and the SceneDelegate?
In older exports, the complete responsibility of the application lifecycle were kept in AppDelegate. Now they have segregated into two different classes and they shared the responsibility. Will connect to scene. Will enter foreground. Did become active. ఇక్కడ ఫోర్గ్రౌండ్ కి వస్తుంది, యాక్టివ్ అని మెథడ్ కాల్ చేసాము. ఇక్కడ మీరు ఏమైనా చేసుకోవాలనుకుంటే ఇంకా ఈ మెథడ్స్ లో ఈ పర్టికులర్ టైంలో ఏమైనా ఆపరేషన్ చేయాలనుకుంటే ఆపరేషన్ చేయొచ్చు. ఇన్ కేసు కమాండ్ షిఫ్ట్ హెచ్ హోమ్కి వెళ్ళేటప్పుడు ఏమవుతుంది, అప్లికేషన్ రిజైన్ యాక్టివ్. అప్లికేషన్ యాక్టివ్ స్టేట్ నుంచి ఇక్కడ బికమ్ యాక్టివ్. యాక్టివ్ స్టేట్ నుంచి ఇన్యాక్టివ్ స్టేట్కి వెళ్తుంది. ఇన్యాక్టివ్ స్టేట్కి వెళ్ళిన తర్వాత బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్కి వెళ్తుంది. బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్కి వెళ్ళేటప్పుడు మీరు ఏదైనా ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ సేవ్ చేయాలనుకుంటున్నారు, అప్పుడు సేవ్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, యూజర్ వచ్చేసి ఒక ఫామ్ ఫిల్ చేస్తున్నాడు. యూజర్ ఈజ్ ఇన్ ద మిడిల్ ఆఫ్ ఫిల్లింగ్ ద ఫామ్. వెన్ యూజర్ క్లిక్ ఆన్ హోమ్ బటన్ క్లిక్ చేయగానే ఏమవుతుంది, హోమ్లోకి వెళ్ళిపోతుంది. బట్ ఏంటంటే కనుక ఆ టైంలో ఏదైతే యూజర్ ఎంటర్ చేస్తాడో ఆ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ నేను సేవ్ చేసుకోవాలనుకున్నాను. సేవ్ చేసుకోవాలనుకుంటే కనుక ఎక్కడ రాస్తామంటే ఆ లాజిక్ అప్లికేషన్ విల్ రిజైన్ యాక్టివ్ స్టేట్ నుంచి రిజైన్ అయిపోతూ ఉంది. యూజర్ ఫామ్ ఫిల్ చేస్తున్నాడు, హోమ్ బటన్ క్లిక్ చేశాడు, హోమ్లోకి వెళ్ళిపోతుంది. హోమ్లోకి వెళ్ళినప్పుడు అప్లికేషన్ చాలాసేపు హోమ్లో నుండి కిల్ అవ్వచ్చు, సస్పెండెడ్ స్టేట్కి వెళ్ళొచ్చు, లేదంటే యూజరే కిల్ చేయొచ్చు. అలాంటప్పుడు ఏమవుతుంది, ఏదైతే ఫామ్ మిడిల్లో ఫిల్ చేశాడో అంతవరకు డిస్కార్డ్ అయిపోతుంది. మళ్ళీ ఫ్రెష్గా ఫామ్ ఫిల్ చేయాల్సి వస్తుంది. మీరు ఆ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ ఏదైతే యూజర్ మిడిల్లో ఫిల్ చేసి ఎప్పుడైతే హోమ్ బటన్ క్లిక్ చేస్తారో అప్పుడు హోమ్ బటన్ క్లిక్ చేసినప్పుడు ఈ మెథడ్ కాల్ అవుతుంది. ఈ మెథడ్లో ఏదైతే యూజర్ ఎంటర్ చేస్తారో ఆ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ మనం సేవ్ చేసుకుంటే కనుక అప్లికేషన్ కిల్ అయినప్పటికీ కూడా నెక్స్ట్ టైం లాంచ్ చేసినప్పుడు మళ్ళీ అక్కడి నుంచి స్టార్ట్ చేసుకోవచ్చు మనం. ఓకే, దట్ ఈస్ ద యాక్చువల్ పర్పస్ ఆఫ్ దీస్ మెథడ్స్. మనకి ఈ మెథడ్స్ ఎందుకు ఇచ్చారంటే ఆ పర్పస్ ఇచ్చాడు. ఎప్పుడైతే అప్లికేషన్ ఒక స్టేట్ నుంచి ఇంకొక స్టేట్కి వెళ్తుందో ఆ ట్రాన్సిషన్ లో మనం ఏదైనా ఆపరేషన్ పర్ఫామ్ చేయాలంటే కనుక ఈ మెథడ్స్ మనం యూజ్ చేసుకునేసి ఈ మెథడ్స్ లో మనం ఆ ఫంక్షనాలిటీ మనం రాసుకోవచ్చు. ఓకే, మళ్ళీ నేను ఫోర్గ్రౌండ్ తీసుకొస్తాను. ఏ మెథడ్స్ కావాలో చూడండి. అప్లికేషన్ విల్ ఎంటర్ ఫోర్గ్రౌండ్. ఇక్కడ ఏం చేయాలి, ఏదైతే మనం ప్రీవియస్ గా సేవ్ చేసుకున్నామో ఆ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ ని మళ్ళీ డిస్ప్లే చేస్తాము. డిడ్ బికమ్ యాక్టివ్ లో ఉంది. ఈ అప్లికేషన్ యొక్క స్టేట్స్ కోసం సపరేట్ క్లాస్ ఉంది మనకి. అది ఇంపార్టెంట్, చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్. అది కూడా ఇంటర్వ్యూస్ డెఫినెట్ క్వశ్చన్. అది కూడా ఏ స్టేట్స్ ఉన్నాయి అప్లికేషన్ కి, ఆ స్టేట్స్ ఎప్పుడు ఏ స్టేట్కి వెళ్తుంది అన్నది కూడా నేను చూపిస్తాను. మేబీ ఇరేస్ ఉంటూ ఉండొచ్చు. ఓకే, ఇక్కడ అర్థమవుతుంది కదా. ఇవన్నీ ఇంతకుముందు అప్లికేషన్ ఉండేది. అప్లికేషన్ డిడ్ విల్ ఎంటర్ బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్, విల్ ఎంటర్ ఫోర్గ్రౌండ్, అప్లికేషన్ విల్ డిజైన్ యాక్టివ్, అప్లికేషన్ డిడ్ ఎంటర్ బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్, అప్లికేషన్ విల్ టర్మినేట్. ఈ మెథడ్స్ అన్ని కూడా ఇంతకుముందు AppDelegate లో ఉండేటివి. ఎప్పుడైతే AppDelegate ని డివైడ్ చేస్తారో కొన్ని మెథడ్స్ ఇక్కడ ఉన్నాయి, కొన్ని మెథడ్స్ ఇక్కడ ఉన్నాయి. ఓన్లీ లాంచింగ్ సంబంధించి ఇక్కడ ఉంది అప్లికేషన్ డిడ్ ఫినిష్ లాంచింగ్ విత్ ఆప్షన్స్ అనేసి. ఓకే, ఈ మెథడ్స్ కూడా ఇవేం కాల్ అవ్వలేదు యాక్చువల్గా. ఇక్కడ ఉన్న మెథడ్స్ కాల్ అయ్యాయి మనకి. విల్ కనెక్ట్ అవుతుంది సీన్ కి. తర్వాత విల్ ఎంటర్ ఫోర్గ్రౌండ్ వస్తుంది. విల్ డిడ్, యూ కెన్ సీ ద డిఫరెన్స్. విల్ మీన్స్ ఇట్ ఈస్ అబౌట్ టు ఎంటర్. డిడ్ మీన్స్ ఫోర్గ్రౌండ్ వచ్చి యాక్టివ్ లో ఉంది. విల్ డిజైన్, నేను బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్కి వెళ్ళిపోతున్నా. ఇఫ్ యూ వాంట్ టు సేవ్ సమ్ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ యూ కెన్ సేవ్ ఇట్. డిడ్ ఎంటర్ బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్, ఆల్రెడీ బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్కి వెళ్ళేసాను నేను. సీన్ విల్ ఎంటర్ ఫోర్గ్రౌండ్కి వస్తున్నాను బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ నుంచి. ఇఫ్ యూ వాంట్ టు పర్ఫార్మ్ ఎనీ ఆపరేషన్ యూ కెన్ గో హెడ్. సీన్ డిడ్ బికమ్ యాక్టివ్. ఇవి మనకు డిఫరెంట్ మెథడ్స్. ఈ మెథడ్స్ కూడా కొంతమంది అడుగుతుంటారు, బట్ దట్ ఈస్ ద ఫ్రెషర్ క్వశ్చన్. AppDelegate లో ఏ మెథడ్స్ ఉంటాయి అనేది ఫ్రెషర్ క్వశ్చన్. అవైతే ఈ రోజుల్లో అడగట్లేదు కానీ, బట్ ఏంటంటే ఇంకా you can see my screen, right?
No, sir.
Let me share it now.
No, sir.
స్క్రీన్ కనిపిస్తుంది కానీ అది ఇట్ ఈస్ డిస్ప్లేయింగ్ సమ్ మెసేజ్.
స్క్రీన్ కనిపిస్తుంది కానీ
కనిపించలేదు సార్. స్క్రీన్ హ్యాస్ స్టార్టెడ్ స్క్రీన్ షేరింగ్ అని వచ్చింది.
ఓకే,
షేరింగ్
మళ్ళీ జాయిన్ అవ్వండి. వాళ్ళ టైం కూడా అయిపోవచ్చింది.
ఓకే.